Students tend to do well when asked to retell what happened on a page or summarize a portion of a text. Where they struggle is looking at the development of an idea across the text. And harder still is tracking two separate ideas and how they develop. This line of thinking falls under what is commonly referred to as the relationship standard. It's the one that requires students to analyze how an idea, an individual, or an event develops and interacts with another idea over the course of a text. This is high-level thinking, but it begins with a simple timeline. Teach students how to collect isolated information within a linear timeline. We want them to track one idea from beginning to end. That's the first step to achieving the relationship standard, but alone, it's not enough. That doesn't constitute any kind of relationship. All they're doing is retelling or summarizing one idea. We need to move them to the next step, and that includes adding a second row to the timeline. After collecting information on one facet of the text from beginning to end, reread the text and collect information about a different facet from the same passage. Remember, just looking at one idea across the text is summarization. It's looking at two or more ideas from the same text that turns this timeline into an interaction tracker. The secret to this standard is getting kids to line up parallel information in both the top and bottom rows. First, we look at the development of one idea. Then, we look at the development of another idea and its simultaneous evolution. Then, to achieve the relationship standard thinking, we want kids to look vertically and check for patterns. If this was a literature example and we were jotting down the events of the plot and the main character's reaction to each event, I can now begin to draw some conclusions. I start to see some tendencies or commonalities, like whenever something bad happened in the plot, the character seemed to do this. Or whenever the story was occurring in this particular location, then the character seemed to respond in this way. This is that idea of how one idea impacts or influences another. This obviously works with literature, but you could make those rows be anything you want. If students are pretty good at reading the text and following along with the plot, but we want to see how two characters influence each other, then make those your two rows. Character A and their evolution, and character B. Again, line up parallel information so we can see how both responded at the same time. When first teaching this standard, start with literature. Have students simply track the plot, those episodes and events, and the character's response to them. Then move into two characters. But this standard is also part of informational text reading, so bring it into your content areas. In science, they can track the simultaneous events of two body systems, or rotation and revolution. In social studies, we can look at the smaller battles of a major war and the corresponding impact of setting during each battle. The relationship standard can sound a little fuzzy, but when you look at it as a simple timeline and then a double timeline to see influence and impact, we can get our kids to figure this out.